Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me over here. I'm going to stay away from strategies. I'm going to stray away from theory and academics and focus a little bit more on stories. Stories of challenges that we thought we will never find answers to. Stories of some bit of inspiration, which struck us sometime while drinking beer. And some success stories that I would like to share with you and would like to tell you that may benefit your context or your organizations also. All right, so with that as a context, let's move forward and let's start from where it all started. 1980s. Look at these two iconic brands. Consumers at one point in time could not tell the difference between the two of them. In a blind test, people actually could not recognize the difference between the two brands. But our previous generation of marketeers found ingenious way of differentiating them on the back of positioning, advertising, and communication. So in an undifferentiated world of products, differentiation was created through positioning by what I call managing the TCE, which is total customer emotions. From jealousy to pride, from joy to fear, different brands took different spaces of a need scope and built their brand around it. That is what we did for 2 decades. Started in Europe, trickled to US, and then came over to Asia Pacific. Let's look at what's happening today. Today we live in a world that is actually overwhelming. Every day, consumers are inundated with different brand messages. There are multiple product specs that keep changing almost every minute. There are reviews and you don't know what to trust and who to trust. There are retargeting ads that pop up from nowhere and God knows what they say. I love this quote. Increasingly, we are moving from a phase where consumers bought into a product or a brand to today preferring the experience of buying into it. So it is not just what you buy, it is also where and how that matters. And so from the earlier world of TCE, this is the new TCE, which is total customer experience. And therefore, our task as marketeers is not necessarily to find that elusive silver bullet that differentiates us from our competitor. It is to manage every customer touch point. It is way more important to be distinct across every touch point your consumer interacts with you than to be differentiated on one. It is okay if you don't have a differentiated product. It is also okay if you do not have a differentiated pricing. But if you do not have distinct customer experience across all touch points, you will not survive, right? And if this was difficult, let me introduce you to the world of e-commerce. There was a time where brands were built in this country. No offense meant. Building a soap, selling to housewives, and finding differentiation on fragrance. A homogeneous world, right? Now look at this. You're practically selling to every customer segment in the country. Metro, millennials, moms, you name them. You have multiple channels where you're transacting. You have different categories, completely different from each other. Fashion, grocery, toys, smartphones, appliances. And you have different product features. Cash on delivery, instant refund, fintech. They are all very, very diverse. And to top it up, e-commerce players have way more customer touch points. Your advertising is as important as your social media handle. The search experience on your app is as important as your customer call center. Your brand can be built or destroyed on these touch points every day. And so this is a world where you're dealing with a large set of very heterogeneous category customer tasks and a very large proliferation of customer touchpoints. So what do we do? We turn to technology. And when we turn to technology, this is what we see. Beautiful, elegant solutions that exist for every part of our business. I want great content, I have a marketing cloud. I want to generate revenue, I have an advertising cloud. I want to listen to customers on social media, I have social listening. I want to improve the quality of my products, I have a commerce cloud. Great, right? No. For the simple reason, they are not connected. Your call center guy does not know that you have just now complained about the phone that you received. And the very next moment, the marketing guy pushes a retargeting ad to that customer. Imagine how will you feel. These clouds don't talk to each other. And therefore, they're not really integrated. They're isolated. So imagine the world that you're living in. This, by the by, is the entire summary of the ad tech solution that exists for a CMO to migrate, decipher, and make sense out of. Please don't feel you're at an odd because of distance, because I can't make sense out of it standing here. For every cloud, there are multiple offerings, there are multiple tools, and each one of them works standalone beautifully. The problem is, to a marketer, they are not connected. They are disjointed. And so how do you deliver on total customer experience? Because that, by the by, is what your customers seek for. And so in e-commerce, you're straddling a world where you have extremely complex category customer tasks. And the external world of ad tech offerings are useful in parts, but not in unison. So as a marketer, what do? Do you get fixated about attribution? Can you justify to your CFO whether every dollar is attributing and to which part of the business? Or do you fall back and do marketing the way it was done in 90s and early 2000s, where you will put out a television dollar and you will say somewhere, somehow, something will move? Right? We believe that it has to be a combination of both. Data must power decisions, so must intuition. It is not about replacement, it is about evolution. And that is what we call as the new world of marketing, which is AI meets HI. Artificial intelligence meets human insights. I want to admit over here that what I'm going to talk to you about over the next 20-25 minutes is a journey that we have lived in the last 6 to 8 quarters. By no means this is complete. By no means we are perfect. But we have taken a series of steps, made multiple experiments. Many of them have failed. Some have succeeded. And those are the ones that I'm going to talk to you about today. What I'm going to talk to you about are 4 tenets. 4 areas where we have done experiments and learned something, and I would like to share some of those with you, which brings the world of data and intuition together, and not one over the other. First, we all know this, right? India is a mobile-only country and not a mobile-first country, right? And what does this mean for all of us? Firstly, we all know these charts. The data prices are falling. The cost of owning a mobile phone is going down. As a result, we are getting a huge set of people who are coming into internet usage, and most important, quality of internet usage, which is led by using data, right? You can see the number. We all know this trend. Interesting point, in 1980s, 90s, the biggest customer touch points usually used to be the point of sale touch points or the family viewing television. And today, the touch points have become 100x, but the dominant touch point is the mobile device. And this has many implications. The UI, the user interface of your app needs to be outstanding. The search experience has to be great. Search pane. We define search pane as the number of times you're trying to search something and the algorithm does not show up the right results. Google, by the by, operates with, I think, less than point several zero ones, right? Search pane for an app is a very important lever, and you need to work on that. But for marketeers, for advertisers also, this has several implications, and I will want to talk about some of them. Look at how the device has also changed. The screen has become bigger, and as the screen has become bigger, mobile device is becoming a lot more legitimate substitute for a laptop or a television screen, right? And see this. From one independent study, we got to know that in India, approximately 200 minutes are spent by consumers on the app. And roughly about 70% of that, or 3/4 of that, are spent on entertainment and social. So the first thing that we did is that we flipped the ratio of digital to web spends in our digital kitty completely the other way around. So we started putting 90% of our monies onto mobile and across these touch points, and we saw a 30% improvement in efficiencies, which is getting the same reach at 30% lower cost, or the other way around. The other very interesting thing we did, the human attention span is now in single digits. Officially, goldfishes have the least amount of attention span, which is 8.4 seconds. I think the human attention span is now 9, and very soon we will get to 0. By the way, the 9 can be broken down. Millennials are at 7, and when millennials are on their mobile device, apparently they are 6. So imagine this world. All of us have grown up making a 30-second television creative as the center of our campaigns. People are not consuming internet on anything other than mobile device, and their attention span is less than 6 seconds, or 6 to 7 seconds. Also understand that your 30-second creative has the product window which talks about your brand in the last 5 seconds. Imagine what's happening to those dollars. So at Flipkart, we did an experiment. We took a 30-second creative and we converted it into a 10-second mobile edit. We did 2 things there. First is we got the product window up front. So it landed the message in the first 4 seconds. But if we were to only do this, it will be a data-backed decision. So what we did was that we ran the 30-second ad in our neuroscience lab. And we captured those moments where the attention of consumers were the highest. And we added that to the rest of the 10 seconds. A good example of intuition-backed decisions and data-backed decisions. I would request us to play the 2 edits, the 30-second first and then the 10-second second.
महंगाई का कोई इलाज है ना भाजी। फ्लिपकार्ट का बिग बिलियन डे आ रहा है, पहली बार महंगाई गिरने वाली है, तो नया फ्रिज लो और ध्यान रखो। पहली बार महंगाई गिरी तो फ्लिपकार्ट बिग बिलियन डे आ रहा है 20 से 24 सितंबर तक।
Can we play the mobile edit now?
20 से 24 सितंबर तक। फ्रिज का हाल देखा है? फ्लिपकार्ट का बिग बिलियन डे आ रहा है, पहली बार महंगाई गिरने वाली है, तो नया फ्रिज लो और ध्यान रखो।
This got us 80% higher VTRs as a concept. So simple 3 steps. Bring the product window first, run neuroscience lab, figure out what grabs your attention, fill up the remaining 10 with that. And you have grabbed the attention of the millennium consumer on the mobile device, and you're seeing an 80% higher VTR. Yeah? Okay, so that was one instance, right? Can I request someone to switch off these lights? I think it'll be better. Yeah. This was for video assets. Let's see what we can do on static. Now, think of a static, right? We have all grown up in this world where there is a key visual, and that key visual gets adapted to outdoor and print and various other things. Apply the same filter that I spoke about. If a static just pops up, I'm not going to take an action. Let's complicate it even further. When you're watching TV, you do not have an option of changing the creative. But when you're on internet, you can change what you want to view. Once again, data says that the scroll speed is far higher when you are scrolling with your thumb than with your fingers. So in desktop, you scroll with your mouse, but in your mobile phone, you scroll with your thumb. And when you scroll with your thumb, you scroll 50% faster. Millennials apparently scroll even 50% higher than the thumb. So imagine the poor state of all marketeers. You're trying to make millennials buy on mobile, and God knows they're scrolling past at whatever, rocket space. So every creative that you do has to load as a GIF. There is no concept called static creatives. It needs to tell the message in the first 1.5 to 2.5 seconds instantly while automating. And that's what we do. And once again, we have seen far greater engagement levels on these creatives. Engagement levels means any action. Let's take the third example. All right. Television creatives were made for the television era, right? That's why we made 30-second creatives, 20-second creatives. This is a mobile era. Millennials have not seen television and are not watching television. They want us to create for the mobile device. This is one thing that we did. This was a augmented reality powered music video. Unfortunately, I won't be able to play it because it's on screen and you will be able to see it much better on your mobile device. But the fun part about it was a 360-degree music video. So you could technically rotate the phone and watch the music video rotate across. And as the music video rotates, you have two people dancing to a song, and as you rotate, they move from one kind of costume to the other kind of costume. And this landed the catalog point or the richness of selection in Flipkart fashion. This won the best AR, VR powered engagement activity in the Google APAC Summit, right? I would now ask you guys to play the video. This was a 2-minute video. We saw a 40% higher retention rate, and we got 10 million views organically. We did not spend $1. And we got overwhelming feedback from consumers to our call center saying that this is an asset made for us, right? It's not a television adapt. All right, so these are some of the things that we did in order to win in the mobile world, and I can continue, but I would like to move to the next topic. The second part is personalization. We all know this, so I'm going to skip some of the context slides a little faster. We are a heterogeneous country. Our language, cuisine, habits, culture change every 100 kilometers. But the advent of the device has led to a larger spirit of individualism. The current heroes are the ones who stand for an individualistic fervor, right? And therefore, that creates an opportunity for marketeers to figure out what can we do to create one-to-one relationships with our consumers. Considering some of the challenges that I spoke about in the usefulness of the ad tech world in being integrated, we at Flipkart have actually created an indigenous platform. I won't go into the details of the platform, but in essence, what it does is that for every single registered users, we have a very, very, very detailed idea or information about that user basis AI and ML algorithm. We combine what we call as consumption data or browse data with intent data that we get from our partners. And we create lookalikes and we create customized programs for them. We are able to do it very successfully because our scale is very big, right? And because visitors or consumers come to us on a regular basis, we have very rich data, so our data accuracy, our ability to model the data and predict for customers is extremely high. And therefore, what happens is that all of our homepage, typically on Flipkart, or when we come to our app, can potentially look different, completely different from each other, right? And this is a very good example of internal marketing of personalization, but done at scale. I would like to tell you guys about one more example. This is external marketing of personalization done at scale. It's easy to do personalization if you are reaching out to 50,000 people, right? But this one activity that we did last year, we created close to 110,000 videos in 2 weeks. At 1/4 the cost of a television campaign, we reached out 50 million people across 56 cohorts, and those cohorts took those signals, not just gender signals or city signals, but banks, usage, category, and all of these things. And we got phenomenal results. I will not talk more about it. I will play a video and let you guys know more about it.
So when it came to marketing for India's biggest sale, the Big Billion Days, we took our inspiration from what engages our users the most. No, we didn't just take over the newsfeed. We converted our marketing to the use feed, an automated hyper-personalization program that converts marketing into a user-focused, cross-platform advertising newsfeed. Hyper-personalized, algorithmic, real-time. Unlike existing solutions like remarketing and Vogon that are built on personas and limited to 1 to 2 variables and user personas, we created something personal. Millions of videos to millions of users in real time. We took what we knew of the user and combined with what the platforms know of the user to create highly personalized signals, regional nuances and curated offers for maximum relevance, programmatic creation and real-time optimization for the creatives. Here's what happened. Kunal, male, 32, from Mumbai, interested in mobiles, doesn't have the FK app, saw this. And when he was on a 2G connection, he saw this. Kavita, female, 24, Bangalore, existing fashion buyer interested in brands, saw this. And her friend from Jaipur, who shops value, saw this. Millions of combinations. The newsfeed became a game changer. Ad recall moved by 1.5 times the APAC benchmark, and message association by 2.2 times the benchmark. Digital metrics were redefined. Click-through rates increased by 2 times, and video completion by 2.3 times. The Big Billion Days created history.
So, 50 million people. For 50 million people, we created about 110,000 videos. And it took us 2 weeks, and it took us 1/4 the cost of a conventional TVC shoot, right? And for the first time, we could use signals beyond the conventional signals of age, gender, and demographic. So if you did not have the app, we could communicate to you in a different way. If you bought a certain type of brand, we could communicate to you a certain way. As I was saying, this is the fusion of intent data and consumption data solving at scale. Again, I think this is a beginning. Hopefully, someday we will be able to create 50 million videos for 50 million customers, right? And that's what technology can do for us. But it's very important that we find ways of doing business with ethics. It's extremely important that we keep the customer privacy, the customer experience in mind when we do personalization with technology. Personalized videos can have a very fine line between delight and irritation. And therefore, we do a series of real-time ABs to figure out whether at a specific user level, your CTRs or VTRs are dropping. And if it does, we create a separate frequency cap for different consumers. For you, it could be 5, for someone else, it could be 10. Data signals may be insufficient. Look at this example, right? Someone selling a car insurance when the guy is about to pass away. It's the right consumer, it's the right message, but it's the wrong time. So it's important that you have right signals before you start scaling up. And lastly, the privacy of the user. You cannot compromise on any of these things. These are some of the strongest guardrails as we do personalization activities. All right, moving forward to the third tenet. Not just one touch point, but every touch point. I love this quote, it's self-explanatory. I'll sort of move forward. A lot of us, once again, have grown up hearing the conventional marketing pyramid. Awareness, consideration, trial, advantage, loyalty, right? But for a setup like us, and maybe for many of you, it is more like an hourglass. There is a pre-purchase funnel, and there is a post-purchase funnel. And the customer touchpoint experience, or managing customer touchpoint, means being able to drive all these aspects, all these horizontals in the right way. Let's take an example. Let's take an example of Kunal, who's a first type app user. He has just installed the app, and for the first time, he's launched the app. This is how our flow will happen. The ones in shaded blue are what is external, ones in deep blue are what's internal. And both external and internal communications with Kunal are happening real time, at scale, and adapting as per the feedback of Kunal. So Kunal sees our brand communication somewhere else on ATL Digital, installs. The moment he installs, he gets a welcome message, which could talk about something generic. The merchandising focuses to discovery of products. The algorithm throws up what is the most likely category Kunal is going to search. At this stage, it is not 100% accurate, but it's doing something to seed the journey so that it can learn from it. Basis the response, we have digital ads, what he browses, what he doesn't. The digital ads on that kind of a category goes and tells him. We have push notifications that drive the discovery of the catalog of wherever he has shown interest. And basis his journey, we do remarketing. This is going to be a path that will happen for Kunal, the first time app launcher. Make no mistake about it, I have just simplified it. For every first time browser, there will be 1,000 such paths, and the system will respond to it. This is another example of another person who, let's say, is a repeat visitor and has shown interest in fashion. And I will let you guys read as to how message is being customized for that person at various touch points, right? So the app homepage will be indexed on fashion. Private label in the verticals in fashion that he or she is interested in will show up. We will have an appropriate content marketing that shows up on his or her Facebook feed. Push notifications will drive that, and so on and so forth, right? So once again, very, very differentiated, happening at scale, happening real time. One more example, this is a regular buyer. This is more focused on LTV, lifetime value, not the first trial, right? And getting that person to buy more. You see cross-sell push, which is making the person buy different verticals. So if you have bought toys, I'm going to make you buy another category which I can cross-sell to, which has a natural affinity to toys. With some of these tenets, the other really beautiful thing that we stumbled upon was the new way of doing integrated campaigns. Once again, a lot of us have been privy to or have experienced the conventional 360-degree marketing campaign, which will start with a creative brief, lead to a beautiful TVC. There will be a key visual that will find its way into a print ad or an outdoor ad, right? And while some of them are relevant, I believe the new age of integrated campaigns need to have a lot more. Of course, the things that stay common is the central idea or the campaign theme. Things that I've already spoken about, adapt for mobile first, and own every touch point. Of course, you will need a proposition that creates awareness. It's very clear from up till here. But the new age IBCs need to have some other interesting tenets that I'm going to spend the next 5-10 minutes on. First part, content marketing strategy that is not just a beautiful piece of creative, but that drives commerce. Content marketing strategy that truly inspires consumers and educates them, especially in categories where the retail offering is unorganized, and customer understanding of the category is not fully fleshed out. Let's take an example of furniture. When we buy furniture, most of us are actually relying on guesswork. The seller is telling us this is mahogany and this is teak. There is no way, there is absolutely no way you can make a difference between the two. You just nod your head just to appear as that you have understanding. In these categories, which are expressive, in these categories which require demystification, inspiring and educating or educational content is extremely critical. I've spoken about this, I won't spend much time. Usage of ecosystem. This is by far one of the most emerging and critical trends in marketing today. If you keep buying reach and buying frequency, you will not be efficient and lean in this world. You have to ride on smart ways of ecosystem players and drive efficiency. And lastly, all that is fine. The core of marketing is still about building affinity for the brand. You need to still have ideas that kindle love for the brand. These are important tenets for an integrated campaign, along with the ones written below. I'll spend the next couple of minutes giving you a few examples of these. Let's start with content that drives commerce. Commerce and content, they're not necessarily in sync, which is why you have to find ways in which you share information and do that in an entertaining manner. So we came up with visual buying guides which consumers will find on their social feed or when they're on their app or the M site of Flipkart. Think of this. While buying a television, think of your wife. Well, you should always think of your wife, not that you have a choice. But this is what is giving a shorthand to consumers in buying a very, very complex category. And consumers tend to retain this in a far greater extent. Let's take another example. This is a laptop. This is a digicam. You find uses of very smart hacks of acronyms that demystify the key elements to buying the guides. Second one, aid the user in their buying journey. What the user has seen on her timeline, the videos that the user has seen on her timeline, find a way of linking it back to the catalog. If the user has seen that sari worn by that lady over there, find the nearest surrogate on Flipkart Fashion through a retargeting ad. Don't make her land on any other completely unrelated page. This is my personal example, my favorite example. Content that inspires and educates, right? I will like to tell this story through an AV. It'll come up in a few seconds. And I want you to look at this category. This is on ethnic wear for women. Watch out for how the construct of affordability is mixed with aspiration in fashion. And watch out how simple hacks has made affordable fashion an everyday affair, right? This was one of our best work that we created in 2017, and it created almost unprecedented love on social, on our own site, and a massive amount of organic views. I'll request the AV to be played. And we have a series of activities over here, content that's in regional language, style hacks, how to drape a sari, and all of these things done at scale with aesthetics and building both affordability and aspiration, right? And as you can see, we've got massive amount of organic views, right? Ecosystem play that drives efficiency. I'll play this through an AV and then maybe talk about what this was about, right?
Next station दादर, अगला स्टेशन दादर। यात्री कृपया ध्यान दीजिए, क्या अगले स्टेशन पर भीड़ कम होगी? शायद नहीं, पर अब पहली बार देश की महंगाई जरूर गिरेगी, क्योंकि इंडिया का बिगेस्ट सेल फ्लिपकार्ट बिग बिलियन डेज आ रहा है 20 से 24 सितंबर।
So what did we do here? There was no advertising push. This is the city of Mumbai. Local trains is the pulse of the city. The iconic announcement, the voice is an iconic announcement for all of us. We integrated the brand message there. We did it at extremely low cost. And we had a direct reach of X, but a viral reach of 50X. Because people were actually running to be the first one in their group to share this news. We did the same thing with SpiceJet and Indigo announcements. When the flight would land, the air hostess will actually announce, because at that point in time, she's welcoming you to the new city and all of that. So we found, so ecosystem is not just riding influencer network. Ecosystem is finding smart ways of sharing your message where consumers are least expecting it, and because that's where you can integrate your message in a seamless manner. Yeah? So some of the other examples that I spoke about. I'm going to skip this chart because we've spoken about personalization quite a bit, so I'm going to move a little faster. These are personalization examples, basis where you live in. I actually wanted to skip this slide, but I just refused to die. So this was a brand love activity, right? Where we were actually asking users to come and transact with us, or come and engage with us, or spend time on our app and site on the Valentine's Day. And this video that you saw has been customized or personalized basis the number of years your association with Flipkart. This particular was for a gentleman who had spent 5 years with Flipkart, right? And once again, you can see some of the social comments. We saw massive goodness. And most importantly, net promoter scores, which is a very, very good surrogate of service. NPS, a lot of you guys in service industry will appreciate. We had a 30 bips improvement on NPS, and people who know what NPS is, to do a social activity and move company NPS by 30 bips is massive, right? The last part that I want to talk about is idea that generates love in conversations, right? So this is a furniture example. So we launched our furniture category some months back, and the key proposition of the furniture category was durability. As I mentioned a few minutes back, when you buy furniture, you do not have an exact idea on how durable the product is. So our promise was that it comes with a certification that it will be 10-year durability tested. And to bring it alive to consumers, what did we do? We actually took a Flipkart furniture, which is called Perfect Homes, and we put close to 40 mattresses on top of it. That was about 23 feet long and the weight of 7 elephants. And this is what happened. We created a Guinness Book of Record. This is the stack of the mattresses. The simple message of durability of the product coming out on the back of how much load it can take. If it can take the load of 7 elephants, the height of 3 or 4 giraffes, it of course is durability tested. All right, I'm not going to end my session today with a small case study, which is called Penguin Dads. Some of you might have known about it or might have seen about it. And hopefully in this case study, you will find some nuggets of all these points and core brand idea that fuels love for the brand. Content that inspires, content that drives commerce, a campaign that rides on personalization, and how it uses the ecosystem, in this case the LinkedIn fraternity, to make it a movement. Can we have the AV, please?
For a young father in India, you're probably more hands-on in raising your child than generations of fathers before you. But you never believed you exist. While the Indian mother has found a work-home balance, patriarchy refuses to recognize the Indian father who wants a home-work balance. It's built an image that men raising babies is unmanly, and the few who do must not be career-focused. But Flipkart, an e-commerce leader serving over 21 million Indian fathers, knew this father was the reality. So reclaim patriarchy a reality check. Penguin Dad, an identity we created for a young working father, inspired by the most dedicated father in the animal kingdom, the male emperor penguin. First, we bust the myth that they were a minority through India's first survey on its current generation of fathers. Its results turned into a music video for India to see how the penguin dad's life was. Ending with an important lesson.
आज मॉम ड्यूटी
आज पेरेंटिंग
Penguin Dads became a celebration of the Indian male community and plus efforts. On LinkedIn, by changing their corporate mugshots to moments with their kids, thousands of Indian professionals came out as Penguin Dads.
So Flipkart started this very cool movement.
suddenly taking a LinkedIn profile pics to the ones with their kids.
Penguin Dads even got their own online store with products made for their lives.
Really cool product. That's why they call it Rain Ready, and it's got lovely features.
For the first time, Indian media is celebrating the fathers they once ignored, and gender roles are finally leaving their most influential space, the household.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Biwas. And now we know why you've been selected as the best CMO from India. Can we have a louder applause for him, please?
Thank you very much.
I now invite on stage Mr. Satyabrata Das. He is the Head Strategic Alliances and Corporate Communication from Lakshya Media Group, powering knowledge. And this session is going to be a fireside chat with Mr. Biwas.
Brilliant presentation, Shoumyan. Really, all of us enjoyed it. So, Shoumyan, first of all, many congratulations on being between the top 25 CMOs globally. My first thing that I want to ask you is, what is that Flipkart did? Or what's special that Flipkart or you and your team did, which brought you to that position? And I think you won it at the Business Insider, which is a very prestigious one, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I think many of that part I actually spoke about in course of my presentation. First thing I want to say is that while it's an individual recognition, but I would really like to believe that it's the whole team that has actually won it. And I'm just the face who received it, right? It is, and it's actually a matter of great pride, because I think they have done it for 3 or 4 years, and no Indian company has made it. In fact, this year, no Asian company is there. And it's not easy for you to sort of, break it into the US bastion, right? So, so I think 2-3 things that define, in my mind, the team that we have in Flipkart today. One is the code of innovation, all right? And I truly believe that, when ambitions are greater than your resources, the only way out is to innovate. And that's exactly what entrepreneurs do. When ambitions are less than resources, it drives complacency. But
Correct.
when resources are less than ambition, you have to innovate. And I think that is the culture that I see in the team, that the team is never hungry or never satisfied with something. They're always pushing the boundaries, and that is what has led to us doing a lot of the stuff which a lot of our digital partners believe that we bring, or we are the only one who does it in India, and I think which is what has led to this.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
The second part, and I think I briefly spoke about, is finding the right balance between creative excellence and data-backed intelligence, right? I hear a lot of people oscillating between the two, as
Correct,
if it's
correct.
either or. But honestly, what we are seeing is an evolution of marketing. We are not seeing replacement of one type over the other. And one has to find the right balance between data-backed decisions and intuition-backed creativity, right?
That
So
actually gets me to the second question, which I picked up from your presentation. I mean, now, you spoke about the, data intuition plus the human insights, right? I mean, a lot of people are missing out on the human insights now. What would be your advice to the brand marketers here? How to come up with that human insight and then plan whatever they're going to plan for the...
yeah, I actually would like to say that a lot of people are very often missing out on data insights as well. I think
yeah.
most number of people are missing out on finding or striking the balance between the two, right?
Okay.
Marketing in this country has been built by some of the iconic marketeers of the previous generation based on intuition. Like imagine the team that would have made Mile Sur Mera Tumhara. What data would have told them that this would have been successful or otherwise, right? It was pure creative intuition, and it worked like magic. Nothing has changed from there. It's absolutely, the core of marketing is still about understanding who your consumer is, what is the pain point of the consumer, and what solution can eliminate that pain, right? And therefore, intuition-backed creative excellence is very important. But what is important is there is a world of what you create, and there is a world of how you disseminate.
Correct.
What you create has to be intuition-backed creative excellence. How you distribute, how efficient you are, how effective you are, is where data-backed decision comes. And I think finding that balance is the most challenging part. But I'm very sure there are already a couple of companies and brands and teams who are already doing it. It's a journey. I think we will get over there.
Well, another thing which was a little scary to me when I saw was the bit that you showed on the attention span. I mean, if it's getting to 6%, 7%, then I don't know where it will lead to.
It's 6 or 7 seconds.
6 or 7 seconds, yeah. I mean, with that kind of a attention span, where do we lead? I mean, where do we go? How do brand marketers or planners, buyers here plan? I mean, they're still with its 30, 40 second.
And as I said, I think you have to constantly innovate. I think those days are gone where what you put out on your mobile device is an adopt of what you make for TVCs. If your TG is actually not watching television, and if your TG is consuming internet on mobile, you have to adapt for that world, right? Interestingly, I was going to make this point. I think the other reason why I believe we have been able to move the needle on new age marketing is that, and I'm going to make a provocative statement here, we don't believe in digital marketing, right? I think digital marketing is over abused and under leveraged. There's nothing called digital marketing. It is actually marketing in the digital era. Imagine someone in 1990s had come and told us television marketing. There's nothing called television marketing. You were making marketing because your consumers consumed media through television. There's nothing called digital marketing. It is marketing in the digital era. So if your users are consuming everything on your mobile device, and within that on app, and within that entertainment, you have to play the way your consumers are going, right? So I think that's the other key thing, and I hear a lot of young marketeers trying to find out about SEM in digital marketing. That's absolutely the wrong way to do. You understand your consumers. They're living in a digital area. By the by, so are you. Many of us order food from our app. Many of us order cabs on our app. Think of your consumer the way you think brands will think about you, And I think that mindset just changes it.
That brings me to the other slide of yours, which made me very uncomfortable. Shoumyan is, we also have a marketing technology company. So, I mean, that looks so complex. I mean, why don't you simplify it for us a bit? How do people like us, come
Unfortunately,
to that kind of
on this, there is not a simple answer, right? We have been able to get away with it because today we have attained massive scale. We have large millions of visitors visiting us every day, browsing multiple pages, checking out many categories, different products, and therefore for every visitor, we have volumes of data that we can mine with AI and ML and create the super powerful reco engine, which is what leads to some of the work that we have done. I fully understand for smaller companies, for FMCG companies who have an offline sales model, right, or younger companies who are starting who do not have the data muscle. And it's very important that as a fraternity we come together and we create a one view to a consumer, right? Today we are completely broken and make no mistake about it, and I'm sure each one of you run some parts of this in your individual rights. Each one of the solutions that we have, social listening, performance marketing, customer care, product review scanning, all of these are very, very good in isolation. But consumers are not looking for isolated solutions, neither are you, right? When you walk into a mall, you would, or when you walk into a hypermarket or a supermarket, you would imagine every employee of the supermarket belongs to one common entity. That's exactly what consumers do. And unfortunately, we do not have a problem. It's an ecosystem problem. I think the fraternity needs to come together, recognize something. What the industry did with TAM and BARC about 15, 20 years back has to happen on digital, right? So I think yeah, it's an industry problem.
So I'll end with this question, Shoumyan. Now, I mean, you're pride of the country, being in the top 25. What's your next benchmark for Flipkart and you personally? And what's Flipkart is going to do now after this that you've achieved?
Keep doing the same thing, right? I mean, whatever we have done has worked. We haven't done that to become one of the top 25 innovative marketing units in the world. It has happened. And I'm of the firm belief that if we keep doing it with the kind of data that we are sitting on, and our ability to leverage them, I think sky is the limit. So yeah, I think we will continue to solve for all customer segments, for all category types, and leverage every single channel. So I think, and leverage the right balance of data-backed and intuition-backed decision making. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause to Shoumyan.